The meeting of the Finance Committee, we'll call it to order. Roll call, Mr. Farrar.
David Bergstresser.
Here.
Mark Finkel.
Here.
Thomas Stover.
Here.
Michael Clark.
Here.
Robert Leslie.
Here.
Robert Coltan.
Here.
John Hodgson.
Here.
Carol Wright.
Here.
Richard Ferrari. Here. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adopt or revise the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Finkel.
I'll second it.
Mr. Stover.
We're the Lone Rangers here. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's adopted. I'll make a motion for the approval of the July 10, 2012 Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I so move.
Mr. Finkel.
I'll second.
Mr. Stover.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting agenda, motion to adopt the revised, the Finance Committee meeting minutes is adopted. And committee business, Mr. Ferrara.
Mr. Chairman, under new business A, we have before you a motion to advance to the full board the adoption of the Black River assessment for the second year of the current three-year budget, which would be July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014. On page 15 is my memo to the board. Basically states that the district's enabling legislation empowers the board to prepare this assessment. And again, the assessment is for that amount necessary for operation and maintenance to be borne by those on the portion, which is on page 18. So I would recommend that the committee make a motion to advance to the full board and recommend the adoption of the July 1st, 2013 through June 30, 2014 Black River Area Assessment.
Okay.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Finkel.
All in favor?
Mr. Stover.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's adopted.
Next, before the board, before the committee, is a motion to advance the adoption of for the same period, second year of the budget, July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, the Hudson River Area Assessment. Again, pursuant to the enabling legislation, the board has the same authority to, for this assessment. The actual resolution is on page 19. And the assessment itself is on page 20 is the title page, 21 is the detail. Once again, to the 5 counties and pursuant to the consent agreement in the same amount of $2,994,100. Again, I recommend the board make a motion to advance, the committee to advance to the full board on the Hudson River Area Assessment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Stover, Mr. Finkel.
Motion's adopted.
Vote
Oh, I'm sorry. All in
Aye.
favor?
unanimous.
Aye.
On page 23 is the final for the assessments is recommendation for the committee to make a motion to advance to the board. Again, for the same period, second year of the budget, July 1, 2013 through June 30, 2014. The New York State share, which again is covers on page 23, and the state share is designated on page 24.
Okay.
So move.
Okay.
Mr. Finkel,
I'll second.
Mr. Stover.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's adopted.
And finally, on page 25, I have a memo to the board regarding, well, it's to the board, but for the committee, this is to recommend that the committee move to the board a resolution to engage Fiscal Advisors Marketing, Inc., and this is in connection to the issuance of serial bonds for capital projects. And just to refresh the board's memory, at the last meeting, the the chief engineer and I also chimed in on a couple items with regard to fairly significant backlog of capital projects, particularly in the Hudson River area. There was several projects that the board felt should be prioritized, and this is what this bond issue would cover, and specifically it would be for to complete the engineering, the complete installation of warning sirens and construction/maintenance of the Contingville Dams Ice Sluice, and this work would include any of the associated engineering. And the estimated cost of the projects would be $1.28 million. I believe I would recommend that the bond be issued for $1.3 million. Although the project, and again, these are project estimates.
Okay.
And again, to make this happen, number one, we've identified a fiscal advisor, which we've used in the past. At the time we were trying to issue tax anticipation notes. We also need to engage bond counsel. We have not done that yet. I have some of the folks over at the Empire State Division of Minority Women and whatever, trying to identify an MWBE bond counsel.
Okay.
They've given me a couple names. We're trying to work that through, and upon identifying that person, we'll come back to the board at the next meeting, and the board will have a resolution before them to authorize me to go ahead and contract with bond counsel. Once we have the two in place, then the fun happens. It might take several months before we actually get an official statement done. We have one done from the last bond tax anticipation note we did. So a lot of it's boilerplate. It's already completed. It needs to be freshened up, so to speak. So we will have, hopefully by September, maybe something to talk about at that board meeting, but that's the target at this point.
All right.
So, and the resolution is for not to exceed of $10,000. It's based on the size of the bond. This is a little more expensive than the last notes are in terms of price, and a little cheaper to do than bonds. I believe the last contract was for $8,000 with fiscal advisors. So I recommend the board the committee to make a motion to advance this to the full board to engage fiscal advisors.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Stover, Mr. Finkel.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed.
And that is all the business I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ferrera. I move that the committee adjourns.
Second.
Mr. Finkel.